Hello everyone, my name is Halvi. In this video, I'll be explaining the lore behind the bosses in Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. The Brigand boss is the leader of bandits inside of the Thieves' Shrine near Ram Village. He is also a member of the Grieth Pirates and has taken Silk captive. Barth is a member of the Grieth Pirates who terrorizes the seas of Zofia and is responsible for the deaths of Valbar's, Kamui's, and Leon's families. Zakson is a Regalian knight who leads some soldiers and fights alongside Fernand in a battle against Alm and the Deliverance in northern Zofia. Garth is a member of the Grieth Pirates. He plans to capture Pala and Katria and sell them. Celica first wants to avoid Garth but notices the sisters and comes to their rescue. Desaix is the Chancellor of Zofia. He came into power when he claimed to have prevented an assassination attempt on King Lima IV and got on the king's good side. Desaix then started to participate in governmental affairs and his political power rose until the king was basically Desaix's puppet. Desaix had many royal family members killed and framed Mycen for his crimes, resulting in Mycen being exiled. Then Desaix hired assassins to kill the residents of Zofia's royal villa. It was set on fire and everyone was killed except for Antise, who was rescued by Mycen, and Conrad, who escaped to the Lost Treescape in Rigel. Once Rigel and Zofia entered war with each other, Desaix sold out Zofia to Rigel in exchange for a ceasefire. 1 year later, he killed the remaining members of Zofia's royal family, including the king, leaving Antise as the only survivor. Clive forms a resistance but is forced to surrender when Desaix takes Matilda hostage. Alm takes control over the Deliverance and takes back Zofia Castle, forcing Desaix to retreat to a fortress in northern Zofia. Alm and the Deliverance continue their assault and arrive in time to save Matilda and defeat Desaix. Wolff is a sniper and a member of Grieth's Pirates. He was stationed at the desert stronghold to defend it and attack intruders. Lawson is a Regalian paladin who leads some soldiers in a battle against Alm and the Deliverance in the forest of Zofia. Sonya is one of Jedah's daughters, and as a child, she lived at a priory with her older sisters Marla and Hestia. Jedah first abandoned them, but eventually returned for them to offer them as live sacrifices to Duma. With the help of her sisters, Sonya was able to escape. Many years later, she finds herself working for Grieth and is ordered to prevent Celica from reaching the Citadel. Deen was born in Zofia to a long line of soldiers and was trained by his father to become a soldier in Zofia's army. He then became engaged to the daughter of a feudal lord and was set to inherit the lord's title. But while he was out on a mission, the mansion was attacked, and upon his return, Deen was also attacked, where he lost his left eye. He took the lord's heirloom, the brave sword, and set out to enact revenge upon the one who took his eye. He eventually finds himself working for Grieth and is ordered to prevent Celica from reaching the Citadel. Gazelle is a Regalian bow knight who leads some soldiers in a battle against Alm and the Deliverance in the northern forest of Zofia. Grieth is the leader of Grieth's Pirates, is known as the Brigand King, and has kidnapped Est from Arcanea. He had an alliance with Desaix and plans to capture Celica and hand her over to Rigel. Deen and Sonya hate him despite working for him. Celica defeats him and frees Est from her captivity. Blake is a Regalian Myrmidon who tries to stop Celica from reaching the Milla Temple. He has stopped many other priestesses from reaching the temple and blames Milla as the one responsible for the Zofian people's suffering. Tatarrah is a member of the Duma faithful. He guards the sluice gate, which is on the border of Zofia and Rigel. He captured Delthea and placed her under a spell so that she follows his every command, very similar to a witch. He also came up with the plan to close the sluice gates and flood Zofia. Mikhail is a priest of the Duma faithful who guards the Milla Temple. He summons gargoyles, but is defeated by Celica. Xaizor is a Regalian dreadfighter who fights Alm and the Deliverance in the forest of Rigel. He is very loyal to Emperor Rudolf. Nuibaba, when she was much younger, she was very beautiful and lived happily with the man she loved, but one night she was attacked by bandits and was given a hideous wound on her face. Her lover then started to avoid her in favor of her younger sister. The man and the younger sister schemed to lure Nuibaba deep into the woods and pushed her off a cliff. On the verge of death, Medusa appeared before Nuibaba and formed a contract with her. Nuibaba was restored and was promised a longer life. She took took revenge upon the man and sister who backstabbed her. She became a witch and resides in her abode in Fear Mountain, where she sacrifices young maidens to preserve her youth and appearance. She becomes interested in Alm when she finds out about his brand, as its power could give her eternal youth and life. She first tries to use Berkut to lure Alm to her, but then that fails, and so she creates a phantom of Celica and uses it to trick Alm into thinking Celica is trapped in Nuibaba's abode. Alm goes and defeats Nuibaba and rescues not Celica but Tatarrah. Garcia is a member of the Duma faithful. He attacks Celica in the swamps known as the Dead Man's Mire in Rigel. Jerome is a Regalian gold knight who goes against his orders and has his men raid nearby villages. He is hated among the people. Zeke, who is another Regalian commander, works to protect the villages, but when Tatarrah was captured by Nuibaba, Zeke was forced to fight alongside Jerome. After defeating Nuibaba, Alm comes along with Tatarrah, allowing Zeke to turn on Jerome. Magnus is a Regalian baron who fights alongside the witch Hestia against Alm and the Deliverance at Rigel Falls. He is very loyal to Emperor Rudolf. Dolth is a member of the Duma faithful. He guards Dolth Keep at the entrance to the Lost Treescape. He summons necro dragons and tries to take Celica so that she can be offered up to Duma. Slayde was once a soldier in the Zophian army. Under Desaix's orders, he was the one who burned down the royal villa, killing all inside, or so he thought, as Mycen was able to rescue Antis, and Conrad escaped as well. Afterwards, he was made captain of Desaix's guard. One day while on patrol near Ram village, Slayde encountered several children and ordered them to find him and his men food. He noticed one of the children resembled Antis, but before he was able to abduct her, Mycen steps in and forces him to retreat, and with Antis' location now exposed, Mycen was forced to take her to Novus Priory for her safety. Slayde continued to serve Desaix up until he is defeated by Alm and the Deliverance at Zofia Castle. After the battle, he is taken to Rigel by the Duma faithful, where he seizes the opportunity to join Rigel's army, providing them with valuable information about Zofia. He is fought and defeated for the last time outside of Rigel Castle. Mueller is a Regalian bone knight who fights alongside Slayde as Rigel Castle's last line of defense. Jamil is an arcanist of the Duma faithful. He guards Duma's gate in northern Rigel. Rudolf is the Emperor of Rigel and Alm's father. In his younger years, he was a very powerful warrior and was chosen to be the next emperor due to his ability to wield falchion and bearing the brand of Duma. He also had a strong relationship with Mycen. After becoming emperor, Rudolf was able to sense that Duma was degenerating, but promised him that he will conquer Zofia and bring all of Valentia under Duma's control. Rudolf then met with the sage Halcyon and received a prophecy that Valentia will be destroyed, and there will be two individuals with special brands who will have the power to save the continent. Rudolf was then blessed with a son who bore the brand of Duma on his left hand, and heard a report that a Zophian princess was born with a brand around the same time. Halcyon's prophecy was in motion, and Rudolf entrusted his son to Mycen to raise him into a strong warrior. Rudolf's plan was to bring conflict to the entire continent and bring an end to the rule of the gods Mila and Duma. To do this, he orders an invasion of Zofia and becomes a conqueror. He uses falchion to seal Mila and aid Desaix in his rebellion, all in order to provoke the true heroes of the war, Alm and Celica, to take action and stop him. Upon his defeat, he reveals that Alm is his son, who he entrusted into Mycen's care. He is proud of Alm, knowing that he will be able to slay Duma and lead Valentia to a prosperous future without the need for gods. Berkut is Rudolf's nephew, and his goal was to become Rigel's next emperor. When Berkut was around 10 years old, his father died, and not long after, his mother also died, and so Berkut started to see Rudolf as a father figure. He developed an interest in getting stronger and joined the military. He is also engaged to Renea. He assisted in Desaix's rebellion and convinced Fernand to join Rigel's army. Berkut fought Alm many times but was always defeated, resorting him to use Nuibaba's cursed mirror in one battle. After many failures, Berkut is given no more chances by Rudolf, and after learning of Alm's true heritage and that he never had a chance at the throne, he descends into the basement of Duma's tower and is followed by Renea, where he offers up Renea's soul to Duma in exchange for more power. Now blinded by power, he has Renea, who is now a witch, attack and mortally wound Fernand. Berkut stands in Alm's way one final time and is defeated. He then joins Renea in the afterlife after entrusting Valentia to Alm. Marla and Hestia are Jedah's daughters and Sonya's older sisters. Marla is the eldest and Hestia is the middle child. They were sacrificed to Duma by Jedah and turned into witches. Marla was guarding Nuibaba's abode but was defeated by Alm, and Hestia was stationed at Regal Falls, where she was also defeated by Alm. They then fight with Jedah and Duma in the final battle. Jedah is the high priest of the Duma faithful and gained control over it after banishing Halcyon. He planned to kill Milla and have Duma's influence spread across all of Valentia. After Rudolf stormed the temple of Milla, Jedah took Milla's skull, with Falchion still embedded in it, and placed it in the deepest parts of Duma's tower. Jedah notices that Duma is dying and promises that he will save him by sacrificing Celica's soul to him. He believes that without the gods, and especially Duma, Valentia cannot sustain itself, so Jedah consistently confronts Celica on her journey and tries to make a deal with her, saying that he will return Milla to Zofia if Celica agrees to sacrifice her soul to Duma, thus saving both kingdoms, and it would also mean that Alm wouldn't have to fight anymore. Celica refuses to make a decision before talking to Milla herself. Jedah says that he will be awaiting her answer at Duma's tower. Then once at Duma's tower, Jedah reveals to Celica that Milla sealed Falchion away herself and tells her that Alm will soon be on his way to slay Duma, which would be suicide to try without Falchion, and in exchange for Alm's safety, Celica agrees to offer her soul to Duma, but Celica soon realizes that Jedah lied to her, and her soul is fed to Duma, and she becomes a witch. Jedah sends Celica, Milla's skull, and the Falchion to the royal vaults, and orders her to fight Alm to the death. However, Milla's spirit instructs Alm to unseal the Falchion and use it to kill Celica, allowing her to revive Celica, freeing her from Duma's control. Then Alm's army and Celica's army join together to fight Duma. Jedah stands in their way to protect his god, but is defeated. Duma was once a divine dragon from Arcanea who served Naga, protecting her with his military might. His sister Milla also served Naga. When humans built the city of Thebes, Duma feared that they had become too powerful and destroyed the city. This angered Naga, who declared war on Duma. In the following battle, Milla sided with Duma, but they were still overpowered and Naga forced them to surrender. Duma and Milla were then exiled to the land of Valentia, but before they left, Naga gave them Falchion, which was forged from one of her fangs. Falchion would give humans a way to kill them should they ever degenerate into madness. In Valentia, they ruled over its people and were worshipped as gods. Duma believed that people should pursue power lest they become depraved, and Milla believed that people should live freely in a paradise. The two of them fought over their ideals until they were exhausted, and they reached an accord in which they would divide the continent into two. Duma would rule over the north, and Milla would rule over the south, and they were never to intervene with the other or cross the border. In the following years, the Duma and Milla faiths were born, and temples were constructed as central places of worship. Sometime later, a pirate nation was formed, which threatened the Valentian mainland. Duma and Milla assisted the Valentians, who were besieged by the pirate nation. Zofia and Rigel, the two heroes who led the charge against the pirate nation, were chosen to enter a blood pact with Milla and Duma, respectively. Milla bestowed Ragnarok to Zofia, while Duma bestowed the Falchion to Rigel. After the war, Rigel returned the Falchion to Duma Temple, and the Rigel Empire was established within the northern lands, ruled by Duma. The kingdom of Zofia was built on the southern lands, ruled by Milla. As Duma degenerates into madness, he urges Rudolf to conquer Zofia, and he offers his trust to fanatics like Jedah, who was more than willing to sacrifice his own daughters to Duma. In the final battle, Alm uses Falchion to defeat Duma once and for all. Twin trees grew from where Duma and Milla's hearts were buried. The trees intertwined, eventually becoming a single gigantic tree that would later become known as the Milla tree. The creation is the fell dragon that was created by the alchemist Fornius in the depths of Thebes' labyrinth. Fornius wanted to create a perfect being. In his experiments, he mixed divine dragon blood with human fluids, certain herbs, and nectar, and sealed the concoction in a vial, and in 40 days, new life was born. At first, it was tiny, the size of a thumbnail, and looked no different than a human fetus. He kept it at the temperature of a horse's womb, and each day gave it some of his own blood. Then on the 80th day, its humanoid shape gradually started to disappear. 6 eyes appeared, its neck grew, it grew a tail, and slowly began taking the shape of a dragon. As it grew to the size of a puppy, it showed glimpses of a terrifying power, and from it Fornius started to see dark and violent thoughts. He feared that he would not be able to control its power, and planned to destroy it, but must have been killed before he got the chance. It remains sealed in Thebes until Alm discovers it and defeats it, however its spirit still lived on. And with all that said, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.